Have you ever been walking along a beach, minding your own business, when suddenly you hear it, that sharp, almost mocking ha 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 echoing through the air? It sounds uncannily like laughter, like something or someone is watching and reacting. You look up and there they are, seagulls circling overhead, calling out as if they're sharing a joke you're not in on. It's a strangely human moment in an otherwise ordinary scene, and it makes you wonder, are they actually laughing, or are we just hearing something that feels familiar? Today we will uncover the surprising truth behind that laugh, right here on History of Simple Things. At first glance, it's easy to assume that seagulls are laughing. Their calls can sound playful, even sarcastic at times, especially when they're gathered in groups or swooping down to steal food. But scientifically speaking, seagulls aren't laughing in the way humans do. What we're hearing isn't humor or amusement, it's communication. That distinctive call is simply part of their vocal language, shaped by evolution to serve very specific purposes. To understand why seagulls sound like they're laughing, we need to look at how animals communicate in general. Many animals use vocalizations to send signals, warnings, greetings, territorial claims, or even mating calls. Birds in particular rely heavily on sound because it travels far and can cut through noisy environments like wind or crashing waves. For seagulls, which often live along coastlines filled with constant background noise, their calls have evolved to be loud, sharp, and attention-grabbing. That laughing sound most people associate with seagulls is actually a type of call known as the long call. It's commonly heard in species like the herring gull, one of the most recognizable types of seagulls. When a gull makes this call, it usually lifts its head and projects the sound outward, creating that familiar echoing cry. While it might sound playful to us, it's actually doing something much more practical. One of the main reasons seagulls use this call is to establish territory. When a gull lands in an area, especially one with food or nesting potential, it may use its laugh-like call to announce its presence. In a way, it's saying, "I'm here and this spot is mine." Other gulls nearby will hear this and understand the message immediately, even if we don't. These calls also play a role in social bonding. Seagulls are surprisingly social animals, often living in large colonies where communication is essential. Within these groups, different calls can help individuals recognize each other, coordinate movements, or maintain group structure. That same laughing sound might be used slightly differently depending on the situation, carrying subtle variations in tone or rhythm that other gulls can interpret. Interestingly, seagulls also use vocalizations during feeding. If you've ever seen a group of gulls suddenly gather around a dropped piece of food, you might notice an increase in noise. Their calls can signal excitement or alert others to a food source. To us, it can sound chaotic, almost like a crowd laughing or shouting all at once, but for the gulls, it's a coordinated exchange of information. So why does it sound so much like laughter to human ears? The answer lies in how our brains interpret sound. Humans are naturally wired to recognize patterns, especially ones that resemble familiar human behaviors. Laughter is a universal social signal for us. It's rhythmic, expressive, and often shared among groups. When we hear a sound that matches some of those qualities, like the repeated rising and falling calls of a seagull, our brains make a connection. We translate it into something we understand. laughter. This phenomenon is called auditory pareidolia, the tendency to perceive meaningful patterns in random or ambiguous sounds. It's the same reason we might hear voices in white noise or think a creaking door sounds like someone whispering. In the case of seagulls, their calls just happen to hit the right notes, literally and figuratively, to trigger that interpretation. But here's where it gets even more interesting. While seagulls aren't laughing in the emotional sense, some animals actually do have vocalizations that resemble laughter and are tied to positive feelings. Certain primates, like chimpanzees, produce laughter-like sounds during play. Even rats have been observed making high-pitched chirping noises when tickled, which scientists associate with a form of joy. So the idea of animals laughing isn't entirely fictional, it just doesn't apply to seagulls. Seagulls instead are highly adaptable birds with a reputation for being clever and opportunistic. Their vocal abilities are just one part of what makes them successful in a wide range of environments. From coastal cliffs to busy city streets, they've learned to thrive alongside humans, often using their calls to navigate these shared spaces. In urban areas, their laughing calls can take on new meanings. A gull perched on a lamppost might call out not just to other gulls, but as a reaction to human activity below. While it's not mocking us, it can certainly feel that way, especially when they swoop in to snatch a snack right out of someone's hand. That moment, paired with their unmistakable call, creates the illusion of personality, as if they're aware of what they've done and are commenting on it. This perceived personality is part of why seagulls have such a strong presence in popular culture. They're often portrayed as mischievous, bold, and yes, laughing observers of human life. But in reality, their behavior is driven by instinct and survival. Their calls are tools, not expressions of humor, even if they sound that way to us. So the next time you hear a seagull laughing overhead, you'll know there's more going on than meets the ear. That sound isn't a joke or a reaction, it's a message. It might be a territorial claim, a social signal, or a call to others about food. It's part of a complex system of communication that helps these birds survive and thrive in their environments. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.